Yo, yo, yo. Y'all getting ads right now. If you are watching this from the future, just fast forward. Keep pressing that fast forward button until you see the draft starting if you just want to see the draft. As usual, give some time for some people to pop on in here before we do a mock draft or two. We'll see. And news. There's news items, so I'll cover those in just a moment. I'll let those ads get working on through. Actually, by my account, all right, we should be good. Notifications hopefully will be sending out any moment. Let me close. Hopefully there'll be no more news. All right, fantasy relevant news, of course. Not going to cover every single item out there in the world, but let's see. A couple of things from preseason week 3 in here. Dylan Sampson ran ahead of Jerome Ford, technically. So that's something, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think that's something. I don't know. We've got a resident Cleveland Browns fan in here. Is that something? What do you think? So, we'll see how that works out. What I do know is that Dylan Sampson has more upside than Jerome Ford. And I don't know if Quinshon Judkins will be on the team at any point this season or not. And I do know that even if he were to sign right now, you got a few weeks at least before he's doing anything too much. Let's see. Stafford, the good news keeps on rolling out of head coach Sean McVay's mouth. Stafford expected to be ready for week 1, according to Sean McVay again. So that's the expectation at this point. He should be good to go. I moved some guys down because of that situation there earlier on in the offseason. I haven't really moved them back up too much. I might think about it a little bit with the wide receiver there, but I think it's a fragile situation to rely upon ultimately with your high draft picks. But good news. Joe Mixon is going to be placed on the NFI reserve list, I think is the name of it, which means that he will be missing the first 4 weeks of the season at least. And let's see if I can pull this out of the recess of my brain. The quote from head coach D'Amico Ryans went something along the lines of, when talking about the current running backs that they have on the roster, that they're good enough to get them through a season. It sounds like 4 weeks is the minimum for Joe Mixon, okay? So this is why he's been way down on my draft list, my draft board, all off season, almost all off season. Really, I've been low on him all off season, though. But with this new injury stuff, it's scary. It hasn't been pretty since the beginning. It hasn't gotten prettier. And now we know at least a minimum of 4 weeks missed. Bill Krosky Merritt, if you're looking for him in drafts, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt likes to go by Bill. He sat out preseason week 3. Chris Rodriguez did not. Washington Commanders. It looks like, I should say, Bill Krosky Merritt going to be the lead back there. Austin Eckler still in his role. Chris Rodriguez probably eating into Bill's work, at least early season. But good stuff there for Bill Krosky Merritt. Is this for real fantasy draft full? There's 4 of us currently, John Bow. Let's see. What's the discussion going on here? I have Myers on, Joe Mixon out for the season. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, not drafting him. I'm fantasy goat. Our draft has been full, for a while. It's first of all, you can see when it is, like right on the front page when you go into our draft room or whatever, into our league room on the app or on the website. It's next Tuesday, so not tomorrow, the next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there, probably kick people and reduce the league size if I still kept at that point. All right. Couple of people actually where we've just got mixed reports coming out between what coaches, GMs are saying and what reports are coming out on these players. So first player is going to be Juwan Jennings. Some reports are that he could be placed on IR. Head coach says that he expects him to be available week 1. This is, first of all, an organization where the media knows nothing about what's going on internally. So saying that he could be placed on IR, to me, is probably quite speculative and trying to read some tea leaves from what they're seeing around the building. And head coach-wise, we also know that we can't trust a word out of his mouth. So I don't know what to think about this Juwan Jennings situation. I've been really holding strong on it all off season, assuming like the injury wasn't real. It's another one of those calf things. I don't know. The closer we get, the more scared I get, the less I'm willing to draft him like high, because I have him high in my rankings. So I moved him back in my rankings just a little bit because we're just getting to that point where we got to make a decision. Our draft days are coming. You know, a lot of people drafting this upcoming weekend. Plenty of people just drafted this last weekend. It's tougher and tougher to trust that situation. Of course, beneficiary to why can't I think of his name? I just had it again. I'm going to have to look it up. What's your name, dude? Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall definitely could start off real hot this season. The other situation where we've got some odd reports going on, contradicting reports, Najee Harris, quote-unquote, on track for week 1, according to the GM. However, reports earlier than that and just after that, other reports still say that it's expected that he'll begin, like just recently, just in the last hour or something. I think this next report came out saying that he's going to begin the season on the NFI list. So once again, that's a 4-week minimum missed time period. So I don't know what to think about that. What do we got here? Nino, what's up, homie? I killed it on the 101 draft. Yeah. Let me know how you did. It's because of all the great practice you got in here. I just started Ohio State football hype videos. Isn't that like, didn't you have that one? We want a poll. I don't do polls here during this time of the year, but I appreciate the enthusiasm, Anthony. NMB, would you keep Kittle 5th or I'd keep Kittle 5th over Rice at this point, assuming he gets 4 to 5. I assume you're saying assuming he gets suspended 4 to 5 games, which we just can't know. I mean, I think the suspension will probably be anywhere from 4 to 6 games. If the league was truly looking for 10 weeks, which was, the primary report that came out, I would think it's probably like 6-week suspension seems pretty likely, which means you don't get Rice back till week 13 after the early portion of the season. And then there's other things. Travis Kelce looking much healthier, much faster, much better than he did previously. That could eat into that nice target share that we saw for the first 3 weeks of Rashee Rice last year. 3-keeper league, 12-team PPR, 2 flex, start 10 including defense and kicker. Players kept a pick for round drafted. Yep. Yeah. I mean, you can get Rice later than you can get Kittle in drafts, so it's going to be much easier if you still want Rice to draft Rice than it is going to be to draft Kittle. And they're costing you the same cost. So Kittle's just going to be your better value and your better guaranteed. I mean, once again, talk about beneficiaries from the injuries to the wide receiver core. I mean, Kittle could be an absolute monster for San Francisco all season, much less early portion of the season while everybody's injured, possibly. Keeping Chase 1 and Chase, yes, definitely keep Chase Brown. NMB, if you were here last year, I assume I might be part of the reason why you got Chase Brown, so you're welcome for that. The Chase brothers with Kittle smash in the middle, that's like my dream team. I like that. Okay. Nino's draft. Got Purdy in May. All right. So you waited on the quarterbacks, and I love that. JT, Kyren Williams, Pollard, ETN, Jarquez Hunter. Interesting, all right. Jarquez Hunter, obviously expendable over the next 2 weeks or even early season. Currently, just in case you're not aware, Nino, Jarquez Hunter is currently behind Blake Corum as for the backup to Kyren Williams. And you could probably get Blake Corum if you want the true backup. I wouldn't be surprised if Jarquez Hunter takes over as the backup at some point in the season. We won't really know that until it's already happened, though, most likely. So if Kyren Williams goes down, there will be some sort of discussion between the two, but currently, especially early season, it's expected to be Blake Corum. Jamar Chase, of course, with your 1-1 pick. Then Sutton, DJ Moore, I'm concerned about, depending on exactly where you got him, could be fine. Igbuka, Keenan Allen, Warren at tight end. Nice. I like the strategy. I got I think it's three strong running backs, and then Etienne's an excellent backup, obviously, to that. And Sutton Jamar Chase is a strong 1-2 with DJ Moore, Igbuka, Keenan backing that up. Stay healthy. Hopefully, don't have to dip into that all too much, or maybe Igbuka will be a gem. And then Warren going for upside. Can't argue with it. And it is full PPR. So JT, Kyron, aren't like the biggest full PPR guys. Obviously, ETN will probably benefit from a full PPR more so than not. Same with Pollard. Jamar Chase, yes. Sutton, not necessarily. DJ Moore, probably not. Never know. Igbuka, probably. Keenan Allen, maybe. I don't know that it'll make much of a difference. Warren, quite potentially. Full PPR guy. If things go right for Warren and he is what a lot of people are hoping for, then the full PPR should matter there. 3 wide receiver. Okay, well, you can make that third wide receiver work. I'd keep your eyes out for a wide receiver. I'd be willing to not keep the backup to Kyron Williams there, ultimately, to take a chance on a wide receiver that you like as well there, because, I don't know, DJ Moore you might regret that one. We'll see. Yeah, Chase Brown's a beast. I did a 10-team draft with buddies, and I got my first 5 picks. Gibbs, Chase Brown, Scary Terry, George Pickens, George Kittle. Nice, I like it. You've been drafting. I like your drafts much better this year than I did last year. All right, a few more notes before we get into a draft here. Michael, I am going to ask, if you want to draft from the 4 spot, Michael, that is fine. But if possible, if you could open that up for me, that would be appreciated, because that's where I'm going to be drafting from tomorrow. Broncos beat writers say that J.K. Dobbins is the lead back. I've been talking about this all offseason and mentioned pretty much every time I talk about it in any kind of depth that's very possible, especially in the early portion of the season. Harvey being the RB2, of course. This just should not be a surprise. I'm not concerned about it. I think we'll still get very, very good returns from RJ Harvey. But, you never know for sure. Jalen Wright is expected to miss at least week 1 with his leg injury, so obviously Ollie Gordon, not a bad guy to take at the end of the draft. Might be able to drop him before the season starts, even depending on the Achane news. So generally speaking, it seems pretty positive for Achane. I like what I've heard. It seems like he'll probably be available by week 1. You never know. And regardless, Ollie Gordon might not be a bad back to hold on to anyways. Amari Cooper signed with the Las Vegas Raiders. Pull my hair out. So Jacoby Myers requests a trade earlier today. Requests a trade. You know how this works. We just saw this with 2 players that signed today. Trey Hendrickson requested a trade. Scary Terry's requested a trade. All these players, they request trades. It's a weird time right now to request a trade. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Then they go ahead and later on today, they signed Amari Cooper. Is that in response to Jacoby Myers? I don't know. Probably not. They've probably been talking to him for several days. Maybe it is. I don't know. To me, I feel like if Amari Cooper factors into this, if he factors into the wide receiver core, I would assume that he would take the Deontay Thornton role more so. Not that he couldn't do a Jacoby Myers role if Jacoby Myers weren't there, but I would think if Jacoby Myers is there and everything, that's the role there. And then he's just one more block in the road for Jack Bash. So, Jack Bash stock, not feeling great. I don't know. Amari Cooper he just might be a veteran wide receiver who's going to get on the field some and not impact the starters at all. By a lot of people's opinions, he was absolutely, completely washed last season. But of course, several NFL teams had interest in him, so they might not totally feel the same, or they feel that he has some value. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really want any receiver there right now in Las Vegas, unless they're a tight end. I think Tyreek's value is fine. I don't think I've ever ended up with him, but for what you could get from Tyreek Hill, obviously you're just taking a chance on getting something good. Doing draft grades, Jacob. I'm more than happy. I don't really like. I don't like grades. I'm more than happy to look at a roster and give you my feedback if I think there's something that would have been better strategically to do, and I will of course just let you know players that I do or don't like depending on where you got them in the draft. But team draft strategy I think is more important to look at. I don't sit there and like give grades out. Whatever. Yeah, so Nino kind of sums it up. It feels really gross. It might be gross. But for the upside, you're taking a chance at getting a guy who could help you win your league at that point in the draft of where you're getting him. Jacob, I appreciate you too. Thank you. Quincy Jones, how are you doing, my man? What do you think about Ollie Gordon? Yeah, just talked about that a little bit. Does he take over as a lead back? No, he doesn't take over as a lead back. Caleb McGarry, last little bit of right up here. Caleb McGarry is out for maybe like half of the season in Atlanta. I think he's their right tackle, but he's the blind side protector for Michael Penix, who's a lefty. So I don't know what to tell you. Make of it as you wish. We've had a few of these situations for some of the, Jahmyr Gibbs also. They had a star injury to tackle position, as well as what's the other one in LA Chargers. So make of it what you will. It's not great, obviously. So it's another factor to keep in mind, maybe as a tiebreaker, I guess. Suppose if you're really, really close on two guys. I've had Jahmyr Gibbs ahead of Bijan Robinson in my rankings all offseason, so if you were close on those two, maybe you say, well, no, but they had their own offensive line injury. I will say this, though. If your RB2 looks scary, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Quincy Jones. I come on Wednesday. I'm going to give one of the players in the league a couple of days to respond that I'm not so sure is going to stay in the league anymore. So there might be a spot open on Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, draft time. Is everybody in here that wants to get in here, or should I wait for any of y'all to get in here? We're going to do a 12-team mock draft here, 30-second timer, half PPR. This is going to be practice for me. And then let me know in the comments, guys, if you have a call-out 10-team, 12-team, full PPR, what you need practice in. And we'll do a second mock after this one. 5 bench spots, flex, no DST, no kicker, wide receivers, running backs, 2 of those spots each, quarterback. If you want, I could add, if you have a 12-team half PPR league, but you have like 3 wide receivers or something, I'd be fine adding that in here. Just let me know, and I can do that. But those are the settings for this. Jacob H. All right, 10-team full PPR, $100 buy-in, $500 for the winner. That's it for the winner and $100 buy-in. Quarterback, I guess it's nice though for second and third place. I had a $100 buy-in league that, let's see, I won. I don't remember what I won. I think it was less than that even, because it was like, actually across the season it might not have been, because there's like every week so there was payouts too. So your quarterback is Burrow. I love that, especially for oftentimes where you can get, his ADP is a little higher these days. Running back, you got Derrick Henry, Chase Brown, Kamara, Tyrone Tracy. Nice, especially outside of Henry. If that's full PPR, you got 3 guys there that'll benefit from full PPR probably. You got CD and Henry and Chase Brown and Burrow and Puka. 10-team. That still seems juicy. That feels... So obviously Burrow you get last out of that group. So Henry, CeeDee Lamb, and then Henry around the turn, and then where did you get Puka in here? So it must be full PPR. Henry falls, Jacob, I'm going to guess. Yeah, full PPR. So Henry falls because it's full PPR for you, or Puka falls because of the injury to Stafford thing. One of them falls. Very nice. You get Sutton as well. Nice. Judy could be good. I don't want to besmirch that too much. Jacoby Myers, I don't know what's going on there. You know, for where you can get him in drafts, it's not going to hurt you too much if you end up having to replace him or something. I moved him back in my rankings a little bit recently. I've gotten a little too high on him. There's a lot of it's a different offense this year. There's more competition. I don't think he's going to be as good as he was last year, quite, which might not be good. Tight end Kelsey and Warren. I don't really think you had to get both. So I personally, strategy-wise, would have liked to probably just go Warren, I guess, but and then you maybe could have gotten another better wide receiver, but you didn't necessarily need one. Nice. It's a good team. It's 10 team. Henry, Chase, Kamara, Tyrone, CD, Puka. Yeah, it feels like you got one extra player in there. Feels like you got one player too high. And then you had Kelsey in there too, which you get behind Burrow, I'm sure. Get your friends drunk. Yeah, I make a decision every draft almost. Ultimate Sports Network, you got to show some patience. All right, so I've given people enough time. We're going. Aya Hushgum, you're up. I will start the drafts whenever the frick I start them. People got questions in chat. I'm gonna go through them. So we see Jefferson, Chase, Bijan going first. Squan Barkley. I guess that's probably my... Well, see... Okay, I'm going to try something different. Saquon Barkley. Gibbs goes right after that. Henry, Lamb, Chanty, Nabas. Am he? He is I. Michael, Burgos, Bill. That took too long for him. He'll be back. Sometimes I think he just puts me in the background, so he might hear me even. Michael gets McCaffrey, and probably going to get auto-drafted here to Achane McCaffrey combo. You can't complain about that. That's a for sure. King Henry is half PPR monster, right? Should be. Yeah, he should be again. Gibbs, Chase Brown, of course, going right in front of me. So that makes an interesting... Well... Yeah, see... I think I would feel better with CeeDee Lamb and Bucky Irving than Barkley Thomas. What round should I draft a quarterback and a tight end this year? Regular 12-team full PPR. So all the more reason to push them off. Give me a moment. I can give you the rounds. I mean, I can tell you the group. Just wait on quarterback till like 9th round at the earliest. Dak Prescott is definitely a target of mine. Drake May is a good target as well. Tight ends as well, like 8th, 9th, 10th round, or draft one of these premier tight ends in the first, in the second or third round, or draft George Kittle basically in the 3rd round. Which would almost be something I would do here, but there's still a few guys I'd take over Kittle. Or McBride in the 3rd round, but he usually goes a little earlier than some of the guys who are going to be left on the board like there were there. More competition for targets there in Jacksonville than last year, so he just might be a little bit overdrafted when all is said and done. I mean, I know he's a beast and everything, but it's a new offense, more competitions for targets. All right, I'm pulling Fantasy Pros up. Look at their ADPs after this. Kamara, Connor, I think I have ahead of them, and I can come around. I could probably get a running back here, although I don't like the wide receivers. The quarterbacks, okay, Joe Burrow's still there. And I assume Kittle's gone. Yep. All right. So that's the other one. Fourth round, if you want to do what I'm going to do and just say, well, I already took 2 running backs. I like the running backs better than the wide receivers technically at this point. It gets a little bit tight, so I'm going to see how this draft ends up rolling out. But if your roster ends up looking like this, I push the running backs because I don't feel a whole lot different about the running back that I'm going to get here anyways. But I didn't like the wide receivers necessarily, although I do like Sutton. So I went with Burrow, feeling like he's a bit of a difference maker there. So then you can take a quarterback early, but I don't want to take one of these guys that I got to take here while all these other guys are still. It's the Joe Burrow, the Jaden Daniels, or the Jalen Hurts are the only quarterbacks that I'll ever turn up with because these two go a little too high. Generally, at least, you never know what might happen in a draft. So I was gonna go running back. I got James Conner ahead of these guys. Ugh. Connor, Cook, Barkley, Thomas, Burrow. Ugh. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I got a good floor, and hopefully Thomas will give me a ceiling. You 14 team. I'll be drafting a different spot in 14 team, anyways. Dante, Kelsey, you are very welcome. I think Jordan Love is a great value. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it depends what you think of quarterbacks, but there's almost certainly a few of those quarterbacks that you should like that you can get quite a bit later. ADP. So I don't know if it was 10 or 12 team. I'm just gonna give ADPs based on 10 team. Oh gosh, my pick is coming. This is going fast. So yeah, I don't. Bo Nix, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes. I'm not trying to draft them, nor really Kyler Murray because I can just push back into Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Justin Fields. If everybody goes that I really like, Justin Fields is a fine fallback plan. But Caleb Williams, Drake May. I'm not the biggest fan of Caleb Williams, but I don't hate taking the chance on it. There we go, Peekins. Jordan Love, CJ Stroud's fine value for where you can get him. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is a good bet to take late. And once again, if all else fails, like if you have to take Tua Tagovailoa, it's not the end of the world. Hopefully not. If he stays healthy. Well, I'm probably going to take Ridley here. Yeah, because I only have 2 wide receivers. Definitely. Quincy, for what we're doing right now, it's a quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver flex. No DSTs, no kickers. This is just a practice. This is just a mock. I assume you know that. Is this, or are you asking Dante Kelsey? Or maybe you're asking me, Quincy. So yeah, this is 1 quarterback, 2, 1. Quincy's team at 3. Started off with the running backs, go strong with the wide receivers, Trey McBride in there. I'm fine with the strategy of it. Xavier Worthy's not really somebody I'm too high up on, but I understand it, I guess. I don't know. With Rashee Rice potentially missing quite a bit of time. But he's not going to help you get off into a hot start, and he might cool off when it matters the most for the playoffs. So, you might get your best Xavier Worthy throughout the bye weeks. So, for where you're he just goes a little too high for me. Hunter, I don't know that he'll stay healthy all seasons. That'd be my concern there. Matthew Golden right in front of me there. No, come on. I think we can wait on that next running back. Yeah, so I think DK, it's a weird fit between quarterback and wide receiver. It's an Arthur Smith offense that's not necessarily great for wide receivers, and it's also a weird fit for Aaron Rodgers schematically. So there's a lot of things working towards it not working out, but there's no competition. Aaron Rodgers still last year had a top 15 and a top 20 wide receiver on the same team. The upside is definitely there for DK Metcalf. If you drafted Bowers, then I think you reached on him. That's just my Jordan Mason. Come on, join my very boring running back room, Jordan Mason. Just make it all the more boring. Yeah, fantasy goat. You got CeeDee Lamb. You follow that up with Tet and Adunze, two high upside picks. I would want to take probably, definitely get one more wide receiver into that room. So you went both quarterback and quarterback. I don't like that strategy. But if these wide receivers can pay off, that's and if you hit at the running back position, which I'm not so sure you have, but maybe it'll be absolutely fine anyways, given if these guys hit. But that's the thing. Like, if you could have gotten Travion Henderson, and if Joe Burrow were to have made it, that'd be so much better. So your RB2 is weak. Your wide receiver 2, I should say your RB2 has a chance of being weak. Your wide receiver 2 has a chance of being weak, but also has a chance of being very strong. So, let's get Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt added into this boring room. And then you take a shot on Charbonnet, could end up bringing that pop. If everything goes really, really well, could definitely bring you some pop there. ETN, this is half PPR. It's probably no better or worse than Tank Bigsby, who goes a little bit later. So I don't know. It doesn't mean it's a bad pick. He's fine. Jaden Higgins, another upside shot, who seems to not have a clear shot at that wide receiver 2 role there. Hampton, I love. I think it's a team that it's like, I like it because you're going for it. Oh, I didn't add tight ends in here, guys. So there's no tight ends. Where are the tight ends? Is Dalton Kincaid still available? Nope. I can't. How do I delete that? I can't draft quick enough. I wanted a wide receiver there, probably. Well, ultimately, I probably needed to grab a tight end at some point. Dalton Kincaid was available. Okay, so I got Dalton Kincaid on my team. Cool. Okay, so my team's so boring, but I also love it. With Dalton Kincaid there. All right. How did you finish up your roster here at pick 3? Finish up Purdy May combo. In a 12-team league, I don't think you necessarily need 2 quarterbacks, but it's fine. Did you lose anything by doing that? Tank, Warren, 4 running backs, most injury-prone position. It's a little scary, but we don't. It's a low deep bench, or a low bench. Gibbs, Brown, Pollard, Stevenson, late, nice, Dak, and somebody else at tight end. Golden, Olave, Flowers, Adams, T. I like it, Michael. Fantasy Goat, how did you finish this off? With Darnell Mooney. Yeah, probably going to miss some time early season, which is the most likely time period where your wide receiver 2 is going to struggle. So I might have thought of the only thing is, so I would say I would have thought instead of Darnell Mooney, you go with Baltimore Ravens, what's his name, or even a Keenan Allen, somebody who you could start over these guys for week 1 just out of precaution. But I don't know that there's anybody there that you're actually going to start over them. I think you just got to roll with what you drafted there. So, like I said, has league winning upside if everything goes right here, which is ultimately you're trying to win a league. Burgos came back after getting the running back to start. Goes Evans, McLaurin. I got Harvey, Chubb, Eckler, which I have. I like that running back room a lot. Wide receiver room seems a little precarious, but should hold up just fine. Nix, Ingram, Stack. All right. All right, so what's Brian 7 wants to do a 14-teamer. I know there's going to be some other around here that want to do 14-teamers. Let me just get a link, then I'm going to catch up on chat, and then we'll do another mock draft. Oops, that's so bright. Look at that, it's already 14 teams. Okay. Link in the chat. I think all in all, pretty good teams there. You know, sometimes we draft and it's like I don't like any of the teams. Sometimes we draft I like them all. I thought like all did pretty good there. But yeah, I like Michael's team as well. It was very solid. Oh, so you would have had Jaden Blue. I gotta remember to put a tight end in here. 14 team. Are you trying to practice a real 14 draft? Let me know. Full PPR, half PPR. What you doing there, Ryan? John Bow might have reached on Bowers. Did I miss your team, John Bow? Did I not go over it? I don't remember looking at a John Bowers at a Brock Bowers team. I'm so sorry if I didn't. You could always put your team in chat, John. Thoughts on T. Higgins this year? I mean, he's an absolute beast when he's healthy. He can be a headache, but I'm not going to draft scared. So he's like my wide receiver 12. I have one spot ahead of JSN. He's in a group. He's in like my third tier of wide receivers. And it's like the first tier where I have legitimate questions or like big time. There's already questions in the first tier. Let's be frank about it. But I have concerns about the tier. But if everything works right, they'll be really, really good. So he just needs to stay healthy and not be a headache. Okay, I think DK Metcalf. Okay, that's too far back. Higgins, we're gonna go Adrian. So 10-man team, and I was able to get Justin Jefferson and CMC with the 7th pick snake draft. That's beast mode, Adrian. I love that. What do you think of mine? I got yeah. So I talked about your team. You know, I liked it. Quincy wants to re-roll. Thoughts on stacks in redraft leagues? I'm trying to trade for. I don't try to make a stack happen. I think the one stack I'll maybe force a little bit is if I got Jamar Chase, that 4-5 turn. If Joe Burrow's there, even if there's some wide receiver running back that I really like a lot, I might just take Burrow over them anyways, just for that stack. Stacks, it's fine. Trying to trade for Kyler McBride stack. It's fine. Is it gonna? It could go off the right week and help you. It might not, kind of thing. Football season. Let's go. Okay, guys. Link in the chat. Pollard, Ridley, or Dobbins. Perico. I just want to make sure I'm not. Okay, that's where I was. So, Pollard, Ridley, or Dobbins. Flex week 1. I mean, probably going to lean towards Pollard here. Or Ridley. Ridley for upside, especially if it's full PPR. Pollard for the safe play. Depends what the defense they're going up against. Honestly, they're probably pretty close overall in overall rankings. So it would depend. Do I think they're going to be winning that game or losing it? If I think they're going to be winning it, might go Pollard. If I think they're losing it, might go Ridley. If I think they're winning it by a lot because it's a really bad defense, I might just go Ridley because they're going to throw the ball to win. It's pretty close between those two. I'm not. We don't need to put Dobbins in ahead of them. Bateman is who I was trying to think of. Yep. Thank you for that. Full PPR, okay. Yeah, it depends where Judkins goes. I spent an 8th round pick on Judkins, like right after the news where it sounded like he was going to be coming back soon. So full 14 team, full PPR, 30-second timer. Roster, I've got a quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, a flex, 5 benches, and a tight end. Is that okay for the roster, or let me know if you need a 3rd wide receiver or something in there instead. Is he worth the last bench spot or pick up? So I don't think Marks is going to matter at all. Keenan Allen, if you got a weak wide receiver room, yeah, he's safer pick than Judkins. Sampson, if you're going to potentially need a running back at any point soon, I'd go with him over Judkins. Otherwise, I do still have Judkins over Sampson. But it depends what the demand is and like what my team looks like. Like if I also drafted Houston's running back, Joe Mixon or something like that. I want to take Joe Mixon and Judkins, that's for sure. So if there's other question marks, early season, Rashee Rice even, and Judkins or stuff, like then I might just go Sampson just to get a guy who I know is going to have a role and play, and in case, because I have a thin team that I'm working with where any kind of injury might just make me have to dip into that bench real quick. Stacks necessary for redraft. Stacks are better in best ball than they are in redraft. And stacks are better in like smaller formats than they are. In larger formats than they are in smaller formats. Okay, I'm going to start the draft and then I'll get to your question there, Adrian. Everybody in here that needs to be in here, I don't think I am. I don't think I'm going to be able to draft from where I'm drafting. So we'll just make a wall here. Wait, I'll join you back here, bro. Brian. I'll go around from... Oh, I did the 14 spot last week. Nah, sorry. I lied to you. I'm going to leave you out there on an island. Okay, anybody else want to come in here? Links in the chat. Let me do this. Links in the chat in case you want to come in. You got about a minute. I'm going to look at this first question. How do you feel about CMC with the Brian Robinson trade? Don't care about it. Doesn't change a thing. I did not move my rankings on CMC one bit. Do I... If they drafted a running back with their 6th round pick, would it concern you? Wait, they did. Actually, they spent last year a 3rd or 4th round pick on one of the running backs in the room, and then this year 5th, 6th or so, and then now another future 6th or something. It's CMC. You think Brian Robinson's gonna impact CMC? I don't. I'm okay if somebody's out there and CMC's not having to take 90% of the rushes. Okay, I think we can start the draft. Let's go. Michael, you're on the clock very shortly. So, yeah, it doesn't concern me. Have you made any moves in your real draft that you already questioned? Yeah, I made several moves that I kind of questioned. I drafted Quinshon Judkins, like I said, 8th round. So I started off really, really hot. Loved my start. Devon Achane, Omarion Hampton, Malik Neighbors, Ladd McConkey. I did not expect Ladd to fall into the 3rd round where I got him. Omarion Hampton I felt was pretty nice to get in the 4th round there as well. I pushed off, so we have, I'm not going to exactly explain why here. I pushed off the quarterback decision. I actually really don't mind it. I ended up with Drake May instead of getting my boy Dak Prescott. I still, I don't know if it mattered that much. Is Chase Brown available? So, well, I still got Malik Neighbors over that. Jaden Higgins in the 9th round feels rich now. This was 2 weeks ago, just a week ago. And then I pushed off Dalton Kincaid got taken earlier than he gets taken by ADP. So I ended up with Colston Loveland. I took Colston Loveland over Indianapolis, Tyler Warren. That's how I still have it ranked like that. That's one of the decisions where it's just like, we'll see. So I like my team still just fine. Took some risks, definitely, that could end up costing me. So we'll just see how they do or do not work out. But overall, I'm pretty excited about most of my players. But yeah, I didn't take my own advice. Like, when you're working around, so that was a draft where I was drafting from the 11th spot in a 12-team league. And I tried pushing it for the quarterback position, especially, and then Dak ends up going where normally I would have drafted him there once again. I end up getting Drake May, who I do have ranked a decent amount lower than Dak, but I won't be surprised if Drake May has a better fantasy year than Dak, so, it might work out just fine. Pretty nervous about this running back room. CMC, Pacheco, Harvey, ETN, Ollie Gordon, Benson. I wouldn't be nervous about that. That's a pretty strong room. Should I already look to make a move or just play it out? Play it out. I would... You're not going to need Ollie Gordon when he might be necessary. I would look to capitalize... Ollie Gordon's value is probably never going to be higher than it is right now. So I would go find a team that is like whoever drafted Brian Robinson. Go check that team out. And and then but just look for a team that's really bad at running back, especially to start the season potentially. I would look to move Ollie Gordon personally. But I mean, CMC, Pacheco, Harvey, ETN, Benson, that's a good room. All right, all three tight ends go before the third pick or by the third pick of the third round. So wide receivers, well, Omarion Hampton is probably gonna be here. Yeah. Mike Evans is somebody who I'm more comfortable with, generally speaking, in this area of like wide receivers that I don't like. With all those injuries to other wide receivers, it just seems like it's going to have to be relied upon him. So, Adrian, I hope that was a good answer for you. I mean, yeah, I made some moves that I question. And I questioned them at the time that I made them, too. I said that I hate this pick when I picked Quinshon Judkins, and I strained the most with that Colston Loveland pick. And both of those could prove costly in the long run. That's possible. Cortland Sutton, welcome home. Yep, all the wide receivers are gone too. All right. Frank Nunez got Chase Brown and Brees Hall, I think, starters. Charbonnet and Gordon. Why am I blanking on Gordon? I mean, I know who it is, but I'm just like, it's not. You're talking about the other Brees Hall's backup, right? Is that who you're talking about? Sure, it's not Josh Gordon or Gordon Porter. Who am I missing? Or am I right? On the bench with Judkins. Yeah, so you're thinner than I am there, too. Like, one injury, and you're... Well, you have Hall and... So, an injury to Chase Brown. You might be up Craps Creek, but Charbonnet also might be viable. We don't know for sure whether he is or not yet. It kind of sounds like he might be. We only have 5 bench spots and got Judkins in the 10th, which is better than what I spent on him. Also, the Allen was Braylon Allen. So I was thinking Gordon Allen. Who am I missing with Gordon? I know somebody's probably answered it. Ollie Gordon. Duh. Wait, did Ollie Gordon like already go in here? Why didn't he show up when I searched Gordon? Oh, because I spelled it wrong. How does Ollie spell it? Why isn't he showing it? Because I'm in wide receivers only. That's why. All right. So I have Aaron Jones just right at the very back of a tier. So, see, I like this team. This is full PPR, so Aaron Jones helpful, Chase Brown helpful, Sutton not necessarily a full PPR beast, but does get a good amount of targets. Neighbors probably PPR beast. Matima's fire. Straight fire. Fire. I'll take the... I don't have my rankings ready right now. I should have printed them off. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I moved Odunze and them ahead of Olave. I think I have them just a little ways behind in that next tier. Nino, appreciate it. Just wasn't high on Harvey. He'll be good for you. Don't worry. You'll like him. He's easily best available at the time, and that's why I felt shaky. I kind of assumed it was Harvey because of where you got him in there, that you're like not feeling super comfortable with that. But see, I would draft Harvey over Pacheco by... I have Harvey 10 spots higher than Pacheco in my rankings. So, you know... I obviously feel good about that. You can ask me a dynasty question, Andre. I have to think about dynasty questions. I'm not a dynasty bro, unfortunately. I would love to be, but I'm not. So, you know, it depends the question and how easily the answer will come to me. But I'll be more than happy to answer it. I will give you an answer on it. CMC, Irving, Brees, Hall, Hampton, running back core. Ooh. We'll see what Brees Hall ends up doing, but Hampton on top of that. I mean, that's a really strong core. I wonder what you did at other positions, eh? That's good. I probably just take yeah, I mean, I might start Ricky Pearsall over Olave week 1 there in my flex, even over Aaron Jones. So, yeah, we'll take Pearsall there. Burgos going Dak. Is Dak just generally going 7th, 8th round now? Has his ADP risen enough? Have I moved his stock up all on my own? What player has surprised you that either went higher or lower than you expected? You talking about ADPs? Oh man, I got so many of them. Xavier Worthy's ADP has been a little bit shocking to me all off season, especially like before there was a Uncle Dalton here, especially before there was a suspension even thought of for Rashee Rice, or I should say when we thought it was just going to be like 3 to 4 games or something to start the season. Juwan Jennings all off season has surprised me, although it's looking like now with the injury and stuff that might not be so something to matter about. I want to talk. Okay. Brock Powers, I think I do find it like a little bit surprising sometimes with how early people take him around the early second. Kittle's was surprising to me. A lot of the guys who were surprising to me are starting to get like normalized, like George Pickens all off season. I've been screaming about how his ADP should be higher. He's been moving up. I think right now, Brees Hall, both the New York Jets, all the guys for the Jets, I think you have to be really concerned about. I know that's not exactly your question. Look at that. All right, Kincaid May. Let's go. I like this team. For 14 team, I actually really like this for 14. We'll see how it finishes up. If you're talking about this draft specifically, Adrian, I can't quite answer that yet. Let's see. Ollie Gordon. Yep, my bad on that one. Did I need to go back and retouch that answer, Frank? If you need me to retouch on that question of yours, I could. Quincy Jones' team is fire. I think I need running back. Come on, Braylon Allen, let's go. I don't know if I've got a piece of you in mock drafts yet. I traded Judy and Smith for Pickens and Coleman. No, I don't think so. Devontae Smith with an injury or something could be great. Otherwise, he's just fine. I think Pickens will be better than Smith. Judy concerns me. I don't think you lost it. Coleman's getting a lot of hype. So it's going to come down to Coleman if you lost this or not. And I guess Judy, like if Judy ends up truly being really, really good, and Devontae Smith is somewhat close to Pickens, even if he's not as good as him. But I feel fine about it. I think you get the best player in Pickens out of the trade, and you took a shot on Coleman there. So Henny Auto, I like that. I'm fine with it. Ohio State football hype videos coming in from a different name, checking out your auto pick team. Ray Davis, Drone 4. See, this is where, like, Dylan Sampson's not a... Actually, Ray Davis would probably be the better pick. I'll do that. We could do, like, a 10-team mock real quick. Otherwise, also going to be here Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Friday. Yeah, Brian, I can run through the teams. I haven't looked at them at all because chat's been keeping me busy, which is perfectly fine. It's good. It's encouraged to keep me busy. All right, so I'm going to show you one of my late... Okay, so Alec Iomanner, I think, is a fine bet to take really late in drafts if you need something that's limited ceiling but might have an all right floor. And Romeo Dobbs, of course, you could draft always. Pat Bryant is like I think a lesser Iomanner ish. I don't know. In that same Isaac Tesla, Torrey Horton, I like those guys. Actually, okay. Who I was gonna show you, it's not gonna matter here. Is my secret potential weapon is Roman Wilson. I think the wide receiver 2 in Pittsburgh. And hey, if not, you can just drop him and grab Torrey Horton or something if news comes in, in time, even before the first week. So especially in 14-team league, those are some of the guys who I think you're looking at late. All right, let's go through these. We'll do a 10. We'll do a 10-man draft. Can we do 12? Sure, we can do a 12-man draft. 12-team. Need some 12-team mock reps. Okay, we'll do a 12-teamer, and then we'll be back once again Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe Friday. All right, Burgos, you've got Lamb, Higgins, Diggs. That feels early for me for Diggs. Higgins and Allen. And I've talked about those guys and how I feel about them. Generally speaking, Higgins, I think there's still upside there, but it might take some real patience. You might have to really practice some patience there. And if Diggs fails, you might not be able to practice that patience. But then you got Keenan Allen to safety net that. Okay. Cook, Harvey, Swift, I like all that. Chubb's fine. Hunt, yeah, sure, whatever. I think Ford is as good of a bet as Hunt. I have Ford ranked higher than Hunt. There's some guys I would take over Hunt there, but whatever. Burgos, it's fine. I like that. Oh, who did you get? So you got Hunter Henry and Dak Prescott. Hunter Henry's just kind of out of the group of guys who I want as a starting tight end, so you are probably going to have like the weakest tight end in the league. But if there's any place to be weak, it might as well be at the tight end spot. Jefferson, McMillan, Egbuka, Deontay Thornton, and Christian Kirk. So once again, the wide receiver 2 is a bit precarious. You're also going tight end quarterback early, which I never suggest, and I don't think you need to take Bo Nix where you're taking him when guys like Drake May, Brock Purdy, and stuff have just as good of draft profiles. Kyler Murray around later. So the quarterbacks go like a little earlier in this one, so it doesn't look as bad here. And it's borderline. At least you got a quarterback in the 6th round instead of last time where you did it a little bit earlier. So, your wide receiver room suffers a little bit because of it. The running backs are good. You did fine with the running backs, especially for what you're working with. And if Henderson can hit, then you're not going to be upset that you went quarterback and tight end early. And if McMillan can hit. So, once again, I like the chances that you're taking. Like, you're building teams that, look, they might fail. It might be a sucky year, but they also might really hit. So that's always a good thing. Fantasy GOAT, you got Puka, Williams, Adunze, Golden, Coleman. I love it all until Mims. I don't think Mims is going to be fantasy relevant. I know it's pretty late in the draft. But also, you could use another running back here. It would look better if Braylon Allen would have followed there, but even a Bashal Tootin in case they trade away one of their other running backs or something like that. I would just take another shot on a running back here when you're you're just really thin at it. If Connor goes down, you have Benson, but then when the bye week come, you're extra thin. It's not a good. You're going to keep your eye out for running backs, right? And in a deeper league, it's a little bit harder to do that. So I think you ignored running back a little too much here. Jaden Daniels, Colson Loveland, I'm fine with those two combo, especially. You get spend some on the quarterback, and then you just get a tight end that falls to you. But I do like the wide receivers that you have, 3 wide receiver league or something. This is like a better build for that, in my opinion, or a 2 flex league even, although in that case, I just think you ignored the running back a little too harshly. Let's see, my team, perfect. No, I actually really like this team for 14 team. I would be ecstatic if this is what I came out with. Wide receiver 2 is maybe a little bit precarious, except for the fact that Sutton's really safe. One of the safer draft picks that exist. And Bro Brian, sorry for making you wait, bro. Nico Collins, Evans, who I like more now these days. I'm not a DJ Moore guy. He's like wide receiver 26 or something in my ranking. So I would have taken Flowers, Sutton, Pickens, Smith. I think Smith. Uh, I I don't know if I have Javonte. Yeah, I don't know if I have Javonte Smith ahead of him still. I would have taken some of these guys up ahead of him, including like Calvin Ridley, who goes much later. So value wise, I just don't like where DJ Moore has to be taken right now. Other wide receivers, so you take Khalil Shakir, should be safe early season, won't be great, but by the time that you need him, should be fine. So a couple of safe picks at wide, actually, just a very safe wide receiver room, and you're banking on DJ Moore popping off. I just don't like that bet. Josh Jacobs? Why does that feel wrong? Tony Pollard, J.K. Dobbins, Eckler. So once again, really, really safe backup options. Not a whole lot of upside, but if Pollard and Jacobs can stay safe, it's a really, really solid team. And then Evan Ingram also, like not incredibly high upside, very safe. Caleb Williams, if he can pay off, hopefully that means DJ Moore paid off. So you're going for it in consistency. Like I like your odds any given week. I like the team overall, Brian. I just have that one big problem. If this would have been even Cortland Sutton, who's a really safe pick, all of a sudden I like it just a little bit more. And you're kind of okay at 4 running backs here. It's once again, I like to have like 5 running backs, but J.K. Dobbins should have a role all season long. Might not be a great high upside role, and Austin Eckler can give you a little something too. So it's a nice safe roster. Okay. We'll go down to 12 team. I'll try to look at these. Quincy loved the team. Sniped on Mims. Would have been great. Yeah, I just don't think Mims is going to be fantasy relevant. But I could, obviously, I'm not going to be right about every take that I have. All right. We'll do a quick 12 teamer there. And I'm not gonna talk about the 12 team. I'll try to look at the 12 team, but you guys have been active in chat. I still got to catch up and chat again. So there's a link to the 12 team league that we're gonna do. We'll do 12 team. Is half PPR okay? 12 team, half PPR. Otherwise, just draft like it's full PPR. Update that. Roster settings. Keep not wanting to do what I have them at. We'll actually get a tight end in here this time. Why did it change on me? No. Okay. Update it before it denies me. All right, did it take? Yeah. All right, so those were the settings. I hope you caught them. If you need me to repeat them or if I got a setting different than what you want, let me know. John Bow, it was beautiful seeing you, my brother. Have a good one. Thank you so much for stopping on through. I love you. 12-team league. Okay, yes. 10-man league, CMC and McConkey fell to me. Yeah, I had McConkey fall to me in a 12-team league in the 3rd round, which was really, really sweet. Adrian, lineup, quarterback, Hurts, running back, CMC, Bucky, Jefferson, McConkey. Nice start there. Nice first 4 picks, and you get Hurts maybe at a bit of a deal in the 5th, it looks like. Devonta Smith as your flex. No, Devonta Smith is your wide receiver 3, which he's a fine wide receiver 3. Kelsey. And Hampton in that flex. And Breece Hall maybe as well. And Breece Hall, we'll see. Throws upside. He's not like too costly at least. What was that? 10-team league. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. But that seems like a little bit too good for 10-team league, Adrian. So I'm going to say I like that. Okay, so in these smaller teams, you can go quarterback and tight end early, I guess. Yeah, and 10, I don't think it matters a whole lot for like 10 team. Once it gets to 8-team league, you kind of might want them. I think I'm going to have to let my cat in. All right, is everybody in here? Are you ready to go? Let me check. I would make another trade at running back. Frank, how do you feel about McCarthy, Penix? Love, I think, is a really good value. Fields, I think, is just going to have too much downside, not high enough of a floor. So I'm actually pretty nervous about him, but I have him at the very, very back end of that big tier of quarterbacks, just ahead of J.J. McCarthy. Penix, I don't really have too high. They're going to be a run first and everything. I don't see any kind of ceiling there. J.J. McCarthy, once again, he's like in the next tier at the very top of that next tier right after Fields is at the very bottom of that big, big tier. So McCarthy, I'm okay like taking a chance, but I don't like Drake May. I'm comfortable with taking a chance as my QB1. J.J. McCarthy, I'm not quite there. Tua, I think, is a fine deal. Caleb Williams might be going a little bit too early these days. T-Law is, I think, a smash deal, essentially. Pick JJ last pick. Yeah, it's fine. 12 team. Okay, I'll go from team 4 again. Michael back in here, the FF4. Is that it? Are we going, guys? Would you trade? Okay, I'll look at that after this. Looks like we're going. Let's start this thing. Oop, last second addition or movement. All right, there we go. We're on. I'm sorry if somebody doesn't get in. Yes, the infamous smart picks. I probably made a couple of those in my life. Okay, so yeah, I'll practice. I did the running back first last time. Now let's do this. Would I trade Trey McBride, David Montgomery, and Garrett Wilson for Achane and Jaden Daniels? Trey McBride. Okay, so I value Trey McBride actually ahead of Jaden Daniels by a little bit. So David Montgomery and Garrett Wilson for Achane. Honestly, I think I would. Because you're not counting in the fact that you're going to have another spot. So it's not only Achane and Jaden Daniels. You're going to get Achane, Jaden Daniels, and something, you know. The only reason they're probably doing this is because of the Achane injury stuff. Just understand that you might really, Jaden Daniels obviously somebody who could get injured. He's like not a very well built rushing quarterback. So I do like how he runs in the sense of how I always liked how Lamar Jackson has run. Not as good at avoiding tackles and preventing hits from hitting him all the way. But he's squirrely enough that he avoids taking like full contact often enough. And I think this is an A.J. Brown spot for me. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, because the running backs went that I would want here. So, Garrett Wilson, I think is going to probably be way more of a headache. Dave Montgomery, I'm not really high on. I would probably do it, and I would just know that there's a chance that I could miss Devon Achane a little bit early on in the season, which might hurt my chances to make the playoffs. And, if things go south, things could go, I feel like maybe more south than the other way around. But if you're not winning it, what's it matter? Am I just going to go all in at wide? Okay, let's do this. Okay, so you have Bo Nix. I don't know if it's worth if you have. Now that's the other thing, like your quarterback that you already have. Yeah, it might not just be worth it because I do have Trey McBride rated a little bit better than Jaden Daniels. And although I do think David Montgomery, Garrett Wilson for Devon Achane, if there was no injury news for, if Achane was coming in fully healthy, I would take it. But it's still not a smash, like, must trade. Kind of depends on your roster and everything. You got Bo Nix. He should be pretty good. He's not going to be Jaden Daniels, but also whatever tight end you get's not going to be Trey McBride. But Bo Nix is probably closer to Jaden Daniels than whatever tight end you're going to get for Trey McBride. To replace Trey McBride, I assume. Unless he's got something else stashed that's really good. So... yeah, probably not. Probably not. Upon second review, also learning that you got Bo Nix already anyways. I might just stick with it. Say screw it. I don't want to be looking back on myself and wondering why I made that trade 6 weeks from now. And it's that's a pretty good lineup. 12 team, I assume. Well, no, that's probably 10 team. Andre, you're on the clock. You got 6 seconds left. Sutton. Is this a 12 team? Okay. Guys, I don't have a running back yet, so I definitely can't go anywhere else but running back here. Yeah. Okay, you know what? This is the type of team. Let's just go for it. Take Travion Henderson. We don't want that safe James Conner thing. We got Lamb, Brown, McConkey, which I think could be really good. So why don't we just shoot for the ceiling? Okay, Joe Burrow goes, which is going to make this next pick even easier. We're going to shoot for more ceiling here. And RJ Harvey. Oh boy. See, now this is a fun team. I love that. If this happens tomorrow night, I'll be okay with it. Yeah, 10 team. I kind of figured that once I realized CeeDee Lamb, Amonra, and JT. And Trey. I mean, it's a good roster. Don't mess it up. It's a good roster there. Adrian, in a one quarterback league, how early is too early to take a quarterback for you? I have it. Let me pull up. Not pull up, but let me look at my overall rankings. I have it. Hold up. Sorry if I'm on the clock or anything. Okay, not yet. I have it at pick 28. So I have the earliest that it would be okay. 3rd round. And I'm going tight end over quarterback, though. And I'm not necessarily, that doesn't mean I am taking him there. I'm just saying that's the earliest that I think it's justifiable. There. I don't think I've done it once this year. Wow. This is weird. Tyrone Tracy it is. Oh my god. What an ugly group of names there, ADP-wise. Those are traps for people using ADPs to draft. Definitely thought about going Scadaboo, Tracy, but do I need the starting running back for the New York Giants? Not necessarily. And what if it's just what if by midseason it's just they're just sharing and neither one's too valuable? So diversify there instead of trying to get the starting running back for the New York Giants. All right, let's do a mid-draft check here. Michael's got Chase, Cook, Hampton, Metcalf, Flowers, Igbuka, and Warren in there. Well, I would say that feels early for Warren, but I guess it's not really. So that's fine. 7 Andre. You got Gibbs, Irving, Bucky, Chuba, who there's... Sorry. Yeah, there's several guys I would probably take ahead of Chuba there, but it could work out just fine. JSN, Sutton, Ridley, Golden. I love the running wide receivers, and you got two stud running backs to start that off with. So, like, if you could get... Well, you might need to go quarterback or tight end, but if it was running back one... Yeah, see, there's still some running backs out there, though, that could pull that room, that third spot into just like a little bit more tightness, just in case Chuba's a little too disappointing, or like the matchup when you need him's bad or something like that. Do you like my start? I always start with double running back when I get elite running back. Yes, so I do like this overall very, very much. I would love it if this was Aaron Jones, technically, or Tony Pollard. You don't like Aaron. Hmm. That too early for Keon Coleman? I don't know. I think my rankings would have it somewhere around there. Let's see. Is there anybody available? Ricky Pearsall I have ahead of Keon Coleman currently because of the Dwan Jennings uncertainty stuff. Travis Hunter, Roma Dunze, Matthew Golden. Yeah, no, they're all gone. Man, Keon Coleman's my wide receiver 35 now. When did that happen? Today. It happened today. Huh. I was under the gun. Sure. Long term, in case there's an injury, that's fine. Which post-hype sleeper? Calvin Ridley? But I was down on Calvin Ridley last year. Now I've been high on him. Now he's getting some hype, so he's getting closer. Calvin Ridley, Chris Olave. Chris Olave obviously not like a ceiling play. Giants who disappointed last year. Not in on Wilson. Not necessarily in on Harrison, although I don't really have him ranked too low. Hill. Yeah, I'm not buying back into that, so no, not really. I got to think of running backs that might match that. You know, these computers screwed me. Why are you taking the second tight end there? Come on. I think it was just because they're ADP. Yeah, I pushed it one too far. Oh well. I think I want Ja'Cory. You guys gotta keep an eye out for that Ja'Cory boy. I mean, is it a cop out to say Ashton Genty? although I do think he might be getting overdrafted. But just in terms of overall having a great year, is that too cheap of me to say? Kyle Pitts. Could be the year, man. I don't count him out. I don't count Pitts out. But I also, didn't bother drafting him here, even though all the tight ends worth drafting got taken. Okay, so man, Matthew Golden's high up there on my list. Well, let me do that. I'll give you my highest ranked wide receiver and running backs, rookies, and I think. Okay, so obviously Tedderell McMillan's gonna be my highest ranked wide receiver, but I have Matthew Golden as my second highest ranked rookie wide receiver. And for running back, Omarion Hampton's my second ranked, so that's not really a surprise. RJ Harvey, Henderson. I mean, I'm not really none of that's surprising. And I don't know that there are any surprising names. Well, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I think even with all the hype and the recent rise, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt could actually be very solid, and I use that word very specifically. I'm not going to call him a ceiling play. I think I take Goddard. You know what, guys? Mason Taylor. There's a name. There's a name for you. You want a tight end rookie who I think could have a great year, at the very least, relative to what you can draft him. Mason Taylor. There's an opportunity there as the second best receiving option possibly in for the Jets. Not going to really be a ceiling play, but maybe top 12. Literally, like maybe tight end 12. I think it's possible. Oh, that's just George Pickens, baby. That's George Pickens. I mean, obviously, well, it's T. Higgins and it's George Pickens. T. Higgins and George Pickens are the clear two names for that for me. You got some creative questions, man. You got to come around more. I hope you come around more. And just let you know, throughout the season, I do rankings every week and every Sunday, every Thursday and Sunday. I'm for sure Sunday mornings. I'm live. It's whole draft. You don't want me to tell you about your whole draft. That's a whole different whole draft. And they're very different. Andre with the W draft. Okay, let's look at these real quick. Michael, I did give you a mid update, and all right, so you're obviously in a situation like me where the tight end got away from you a little bit. So you're hoping on a prayer that something works out there. Herbert's maybe a little bit limited upside, but I'm fine with it. I like Torrey Horton. I like Shakir. If Keon Coleman's truly going to have a good year, though, Shakir might be rather useless. I'm like less willing to draft Shakir, and might want to move. I have moved him down. He has, via other people moving up, he has moved down my rankings a little bit. For where you drafted him, it's kind of whatever, though. It's fine. That might have been my draft pick there via my rankings. Once again, I mean, generally speaking here, I like your drafts. That's been a truth kind of all off season. You take a lot of guys that I like. I feel like you've, been drafting with me all off season. 7 Andre, W draft. So we went over yours midway through. I liked it, at that point. Outside of like Chuba's not my favorite. You get Nix, you get Kincaid. I was looking at Kincaid while he was there. I was like, if you go back, I scrolled up to see if you had taken a tight end yet after those two went off. And I was like, oh, shoot. So you get the last viable tight end in my eyes. Not everybody's eyes. Running backs. Take a chance on Blue. Charbonnet, fine. Jamar Douglas, I like. Nice final touch on top. I like your roster quite a bit. Once again, maybe Chuba is a little bit disappointed, but hopefully you don't have to rely on Chuba much. I think Ridley Golden will be better flex options, probably to start the season even. Michael Burgos. Outside of Mims, like the wide receivers. Brown Kamara Pollard, his team looks familiar. Ray Davis, always a great last pick. Dave Njoku, Dak Prescott, good bets to make. And the wide receiver, I looked at that. Michael Burgos, love the team. Ayahu's Holschkam. Nico, London, that's a pretty start. Then you get McMillan, Debo. We'll see. I'm not as down on Debo as I was. He looked pretty good this preseason. Rashid, I'm not the highest upside on Rashid. Shaheed. You get a tight end and a quarterback that I'm fine with. I don't know if I've ever drafted. I've maybe drafted Evan Ingram on a team. Ooh. It's not my favorite team ever. I'm looking for it's Nico Collins and Drake London. That's your win card. And then Tet paying off. You want James Conner to get injured. And then Trey Benson might be able to be you want Trey Benson to get injured, and you want Ken Walker to stay healthy, and for Charbonnet not to eat into Walker's work. So if that can come true, then things are working. Bro Brian, Puka. Well, I'm concerned about the season long upside of that with like the fragility of both him and Matt Stafford. That's my only concern with Puka. But anytime that they're both playing, he's fantastic. Higgins, I think a solid fine bet to make at that point. McLaurin, a fine bet. I think I have DK ahead of McLaurin, but that doesn't mean he's going to do better than McLaurin. Who knows? Ricky Pearsall, Pittman might be okay, right? Not too excited about Pittman, but Pearsall is a nice little addition, so fine there. You get Genty. I like Cam. Okay. Yeah, you should be fine at running back too. You get Purdy and Hawkinson. Hawkinson should be fine. Yeah, you didn't miss out on too much. I like the build. I think it's a good team. Bro Brian. All right. Adrian, well, I appreciate you. Thank you. Welcome in. I hope you find me helpful. Have you done any follower leagues for this season? Yeah, Andre, I have a listener league that is full right now. Come check on Wednesday. I messaged one of the members who I have reason to suspect they might not show up to draft. So I sent them a message asking if they still plan on drafting. If they don't respond by Wednesday evening, they'll have gotten 48 hours, and I'll feel a little bit bad if they come back and say, I wanted in the league still. But I won't feel too bad. So I might have a fresh spot Wednesday evening here live. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when I do the mock drafts. Or when we'll be going live on Wednesday. All right, I'm definitely down to be in the league. Perfect. Ian Griffin coming in as we are about to head out. I have the first overall pick in my draft tomorrow. Good luck, Ian. And I already have Jamar as a keeper. Who should I get with the first pick? Bijan gives me word with the O-line injuries. Yeah, well, you know, I did not change Bijan's ranking because of that, but I do have Jahmyr Gibbs, so I gave you the names. My rankings for running back are Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, then Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey very, very close behind Bijan Robinson, Derrick Henry and Chase Brown still in that same tier. So, you know, I don't know what other teams, what players are going to be available for you. Obviously, Bijan, apparently available for you as an option. Wide receiver wise, you know, I'm very high on CeeDee Lamb. You know, he's obviously 6th overall pick, ADP, but still worth mentioning. I'm very high on him. Malik Neighbors, I think, is worth taking. So it depends who's available, but I like if I would still feel fine taking Bijan Robinson. It sucks. It doesn't help anything out, but Jahmyr Gibbs, somebody else who I just said, I would think about taking. They also had their own offensive line injury. And Omarion Hampton, has an offensive line injury. It happens. Offensive lines most often don't stay healthy throughout the entirety of the season. It's never good when the best offensive lineman goes down for your running back. My boldest hot take. Well, generally it's probably been my resistance on getting too high on Travion Henderson. I still have RJ Harvey ahead of Travion Henderson. I have Breece Hall behind both of them. I don't know. Those are bold takes these days, right? Well, the Breece Hall one's not as bold these days. Some people have him back in their 20s for experts. I haven't been high on Chuba Hubbard all off season. I am quite high on, I'm happy to take, Chase Brown being in my first tier of running backs. Chase Brown being my overall 11th player. So Chase Brown being a first round pick. Is that my boldest take? Chase Brown should go in the first round of your drafts? Ahead of A.J. Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., Drake London, Amon St. Brown, Puka Nacua, Josh Jacobs, Ashton Genty. Nobody's taking Bucky Ladd or Jonathan Taylor in the first round, so. Jonathan Taylor or Devon Achane, I got to move back up a little ways, but I'm going to keep Chase Brown ahead of Devon Achane in my rankings because of the injury situation for Achane. Because when you think about it, I mean, Chase Brown's got neither one of them have great offensive lines, but which offense do you trust more? And they're both receiving backs. Chase Brown actually did better than him down the stretch last year. Name value. Obviously, Breece Hall is probably up there right now. I mean, technically, I would say Ashton Genty might be kind of. There are some names. So David Montgomery's kind of that's equalized out just fine there. Who was it? I think maybe Isaiah Pacheco close to being drafted too high. Any other running backs? I mean, I would say that I feel like Joe Mixon has been getting drafted way too high off of name value. There's more to that story. But that's one that I would say. It must be a wide receiver. There's a big one. I feel like at the end of the year we might think Tyreek Hill. Marvin Harrison Jr. for some people. Who am I low on? Not DJ Moore, possibly. Another name that we've been going over. Devontae Smith, I think I'm a little bit low on. Jerry Jeudy, but I get why people want to take that chance. Deebo Samuel was a name that I was saying for a long time. I still think he goes a little bit too high sometimes, but some people will take him pretty high. And Stephon Diggs. Those two tend to go a little bit higher than I'm exactly comfortable with taking them. Aging receivers, Stephon Diggs coming off of a major injury and all. Young quarterbacks. Is Chris Godwin doesn't really go too high, actually. Not generally. I feel like I missed. There's someone that I don't agree with. Well, Garrett Wilson, I now have as my wide receiver 24. He's going at what, like wide receiver 15-ish? I think a lot of other like if that was Zay Flowers in that situation, somebody who they finished relatively close to each other last year ish. No, they didn't. Heck, if it was Chris Olave in that situation. Oh wait, he's kind of in that situation. So you think about that. I mean, Chris Olave is kind of in that situation. How much later he goes than Garrett Wilson? Quincy Jones, high. Go Lamb, get the second best wide receiver. Biggest mistake fantasy managers make in the first 3 rounds? Drafting a quarterback or a tight end, generally speaking. Although 3rd round starts to become kind of okay for me, but I think there's just players that are available there. So for the most part, that's probably my biggest one there, Adrian. Because otherwise, any draft strategy can work. I would say maybe sometimes we do take a little bit too much. Sometimes we take too much risk. But then, I'm pretty high on McCaffrey, And then maybe not I just did in this draft. I went wide receiver. But I know that I can find some guys that I like running backs later-ish. Typically, generally, I think you want to go wide receiver, running back, best case scenario, if possible. Just keep yourself open for the rest of the draft. So you don't get into a situation where running back, because it's home drafts are a little bit different than this. This is a little bit predictable-ish. Sometimes players really fall, and if you took 3 running backs in your first 3 rounds, and then a really good running back falls in the 4th round, Are you going to take 4 running backs to start off your draft? Probably not. So now you're just letting that value slip because you didn't just go ahead and take a tiebreaker wide receiver with that 3rd round pick or something like that. So I think you just need to try to keep your roster open so that way you can take advantage of falling value. Kyle Siebert, welcome back in. What are your thoughts on my Keeper League roster? You got Josh Allen, okay. Bucky Irving, Shee Rice and Worthy, Pollard, Pickens, Meyer. Does that like Jacoby Meyer? We draft on Sunday and I have the 10th team going to draft a bunch of rookies. Yeah, add a bunch of rookies in here. Are those all your keepers? Jacoby Myers has had a weird day today. Keep an eye on that. I might take like a chance on somebody over Jacoby Myers potentially. I understand why you're keeping both Rice and Worthy. I'm not going to try to talk you out of that, but no, let's see about that. But I'm curious if there's anybody that you think like is riskier than Jacoby Myers, but might have more upside available. SW, great show. Appreciate you. Full PPR. 1-1, 12 teams. On the turn in the mocks, I am looking for running back. Something I see. Sometimes I see Allen/Jackson. Would you grab one of them there or let the quarterback slide? So you're going. So you can go running back, and then you're wondering if you should go quarterback. My general advice would be to slide around that, unless if it's 14 teams, I might go with the quarterback around that turn if the draft went like almost perfectly to my overall board for the first 27 picks. I think it's technically okay, and I still don't do this, but I think it's technically okay to draft a tight end or a quarterback once you get to right there, literally, pick 28. So what was that, 14, 28? Yeah. So at the first 27 picks off of my board were to be taken, I'm okay taking a quarterback there. I'd actually go George Kittle myself, is who I have at the front of that group. But I know I can get George Kittle. Well, in a 14-team league, I don't know that I can get George Kittle here. But I would hope on getting George Kittle here instead of actually drafting him there. Rashad Bateman, Rashid Shaheed, or Jacoby Myers. Yeah, okay, Jacoby Myers. Okay, you got me there. All right, love the questions and everything. I got to get going. Any last question here? Is there a last question or a follow-up there from SW? Otherwise, I've got my finger on the trigger, going to end the stream pretty shortly here. You're welcome, Kyle. I appreciate you. It's been nice seeing you around again, man. 5-4. If you got a question and you're still typing it, just hit enter. What are your thoughts on Jacoby? Yeah, talk about it at the beginning of the stream. I assume you're talking about like the trade thing. I think it's weird. I don't really know what to make of it. And then you add Amari Cooper. Yeah, I don't love it. I don't know if I should really be afraid of it, especially for Jacoby. It doesn't scare me. So I don't know. I think he's going to be going somewhere else next year. Maybe he just finally got a sniff of that all of a sudden. It's just a weird time to ask for a trade. But I assume he'll still be with the team. Usually players aren't moved at this time of the year. Which superstar is most likely to disappoint fantasy managers this season? I would just go with Garrett Wilson. I think highest likelihood. All right, thank you guys very much. Ending the stream. Garrett Wilson's going to be my number one pick there. But for how high people are taking, I do think there's a small chance, and I'm not really afraid of it. Taking I like him, Brock Bowers. I think maybe it could be a little more average than people are hoping for. All right, good night, guys. That's my bold take one. Peace out.